Today, I wanted to take a look at the new 4K of Battle Beyond the Stars from Shout Factory. I think this is a charming, low-budget Star Wars knockoff courtesy of the low-budget king, Roger Corman. If you're a fan of B-movies but haven't seen this, chances are you've probably seen shots of it in other Corman schlock from the era, such as Galaxy of Terror, Forbidden World, and Space Raiders. The plot of Battle Beyond the Stars is actually more closely lifted from the Magnificent Seven, itself a bit of a copy of Seven Samurai, so we have kind of a copy of a copy of a copy thing going on here. Battle Beyond the Stars is probably most notable for being one of the earliest films a young James Cameron worked on, doing stuff like set decorating and building some of the model spaceships, including the infamous boob ship that gives H.R. Giger a run for his money with the whole suggestive design thing. Anyway, moving along, let's take a look at the 4K packaging. We have a typical slipcover with some nice art. The disc case has the same art. Nothing on the other side of the slip, so it's not reversible. Inside are two discs, a 4K and a Blu-ray. And that's it, a pretty straightforward edition, so we can move right along to my thoughts on the picture quality. Now the footage here is from the 4K, but it has been compressed and the HDR has been down converted to SDR, so it's not a one-to-one with the disc and is intended for demonstrative purposes. Once again, I viewed this on my LG OLED in Dolby Vision. Now, Shout states that this is a new 4K scan from the original camera negative, and I think the results here are pretty great. There are plenty of shots that have some softness to them, but that's baked into the source, and I presume were the result of using some of the more, shall we say, budget-friendly lenses and film stock of the time. And it's not a result of like a poor restoration or an encoding issue or anything like that. Now, I decided to compare it to Shout's previous release of this movie, this Blu-ray Steelbook from a few years ago that I have here. Now, I don't have footage from this particular disc, but it states that it's a 2K scan from the interpositive, and I'll be honest, doing A-B comparisons back and forth in my living room, the detail level between the new 4K and that older Blu-ray appeared surprisingly close a lot of the time. I was pretty impressed with how well this 2K interpositive held up. There were a few times I got mixed up as to which one I was watching and confused the Blu-ray for the 4K. Now, that was just in looking at detail. Where the 4K makes a difference, though, is in the Dolby Vision HDR grade. The black levels have more room to breathe, which is important to a movie like this that spends a lot of time in space. And I didn't notice any crushed blacks on the 4K, and the Dolby Vision definitely helps things like laser blasts really pop with color and vibrancy. The stars that dot the space backgrounds also have a pop and brightness that's lacking on the Blu-ray with its standard dynamic range. I also noticed that the Blu-ray has a bit of a magenta push in the color timing compared to the 4K, though it's nothing that I would call egregious, but the 4K is a bit better balanced in that regard. That interpositive also seems to have a bit more wobble to some shots, as well as instances of little spots and specks on some frames that looks like they've been cleaned up here on the 4K. Now that's nothing I really noticed before, but just something I happened to observe this time doing direct comparisons back and forth. Bit rates seem to hover in the 70s with gusts up to 80, so not a whole lot to worry about with compression. Sound options appear to be similar, if not identical, to what was on offer with the previous releases, with a DTS HD 5.1 and 2.0, along with a dual mono 2.0, which I don't see too often, but it's always nice to have it included. Oh, and I know people sometimes have issues with like scratched discs from Shout Factory. Mine were fine, but your luck may vary. I'm not sure if they ever got that sorted out or not. So yeah, my verdict on the picture quality would be that this is definitely the best the movie has ever looked, but compared to the previous release, it's more of a refinement than an out-and-out revelation. Some things I was only able to notice by doing side-by-side comparisons. Now, that's not to say that this 4K is disappointing or anything, far from it actually. More that this 4K came from a place where this movie was already looking pretty good on home video to begin with, and didn't really need to fill too big of a gap to close the headroom that was left. Now, if you've never seen this movie or are thinking of adding it to your collection for the first time, then yeah, by all means, go for this 4K, easy recommend. But if you have that Blu-ray from a couple years ago, maybe wait for a sale or see if you can sell it and put that towards the 4K instead, and I think that's what I'll end up doing.